This is Reimagining the Contact Center. I'm Marc Bernstein, and today I'm interviewing Daniel Ziv, Vice President of AI and Analytics and Go-to-Market Strategy at Verint. What I loved about this conversation was we kept coming back again and again to the power of focus, focusing on specific use cases that you want AI to tackle, focusing on the outcomes that you want to achieve and make sure that you're actually achieving those outcomes, focusing on an open platform strategy and committing to it. In an era where AI can do almost anything, focus is one of the most powerful tools we have in our arsenal, and Daniel Ziv makes that perfectly clear in today's episode. I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed doing it. Everybody, Daniel Ziv, Vice President of AI, Analytics, and Go-to-Market Strategy at Verint. Daniel, hey, great to see you.
Hey, great, Mark. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming here. I've been excited to talk to you for a while. When you're looking at companies that are doing AI, there's a million names out there. When you look at companies that enterprises trust, that are actually delivering tangible results and focus on the use cases, I think focusing on the use cases is one of the most important things to actually generate real results nowadays. Verint is one of the few. So I was excited to have you today and hear, how you guys are thinking about product.
Thank you. And I think you nailed it on the head. We don't even consider ourselves an AI company. We consider ourselves an AI outcomes company. We use a lot of different AI. Our approach is really about openness. We're not trying to build the world's best LLM, but we're going to leverage the world's best LLMs and build some of our own, and really drive on specific CX automation use cases, very targeted on that domain. We have a lot of experience, a lot of data, and a lot of great technology, and we launch a whole set of bots to really deliver outcomes. And that's how you adopt AI. When you see the outcomes, you start understanding the power, and then you adopt more rather than which technology should I choose. We're just saying, hey, get something out there now, get some outcomes, and learn from that experience, and then expand over time. So that's exactly our strategy on delivering those outcomes on specific use cases.
I love the focus on outcomes. One of the biggest challenges I've seen there is, on one hand, you want to stay really focused. You don't want to try to deliver a million outcomes because you can't do that well. So you want to create almost like a bulleted list of here's the 10 or 20 outcomes that we crush at Verint. And then on the other hand, every enterprise is a little bit different. So, you can't just take how you are setting up an AI bot for one enterprise and just slap it over on another enterprise. So how do you think about that? How do you think about, staying focused and really crushing your key outcomes while at the same time being flexible and working the way the different enterprises want to work?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Look, first of all, our approach to AI was to launch a whole series of bots. So each bot is focused on one specific workflow, and in many cases, even a micro workflow, a part of a workflow that bot automates really, really well. And usually there's an out of the box, turn it on, typically less than 30 days, we turn it on, we start seeing outcomes. Now, we've seen that over time, there's a lot of customization and nuanced things. I'll give you an example. Our wrap-up bot, we were one of the first to launch kind of the auto summarization. In the contact center, many agents tend to kind of want to take notes throughout the call and then summarize it. And obviously, we have a really accurate transcript, which is the raw data you need for the transcript for the summarization. We already have that in like 80 languages. So we have that part built. And then we picked the best LLMs. We tried different things. And we have something that comes out of the box. You turn it on and immediately it's better than what they're doing today, for sure. And we had a customer who launched it for 300 agents, saw immediate impact. They were shaving like a minute off their calls. And then they expanded it to 30,000 agents. And then came a list of customizations. Well, we wanted a little bit like this and a little bit like that. We want to automate it, put it over there. And then so that's our approach: is launch something, see the impact right now. And then when you want to scale or expand or customize, we're here. Obviously, we have a whole platform, so it's not a point solution that's stuck with out of the box, but there's definitely, adjusting that we're doing, and we're doing it for our customers.
I think that's so smart. I've seen what happens when companies jump right into the customized approach. People
Yeah.
get impatient. People get impatient, and they say, "Hey, where are the wins?" And you say, "Well, we have, another few months, and we'll have this thing up and running." And then you have like 6 months, almost like, you're doing engineering in a waterfall approach. One
Right.
big 6 months project, and then it comes out, and then people say, "Well, we want it to be a little different."
Right.
But having like some value right away out of the box, and then customizing on after that seems like it's kind of the best of both worlds there.
Yeah, I agree. I think, look, people are worried because it's changing so fast that they're thinking, well, it's kind of like, oh, the new iPhone came out, but if I buy it and next year there's going to be a better one, of course there's going to be a better one, but what, you're not going to have one now? So you need it now. You need the best you can get now as quickly as, as you can get it. And then that actually helps you understand what you need next, right? If those who are waiting are going to just stay behind, those who do something now, of course, it's going to evolve, which is why we have an open platform. We can easily plug and play different algorithms, different AI, even different data sources. And it's a shift, this whole transition. There's another thing that I think is unique about Verint is our hybrid approach. There's still a lot of customers on-prem. Most of this innovation, especially if you want to use LLM, all that, you need the cloud computing power. So the approach is, yeah, move everything to the cloud and then you'll start seeing the innovation. But that's too long. It's not a project you can do in a day or in a month. It could take a
Right.
year or two, but you can't wait. So our approach is whatever's working for you, even if it's on-prem, you can keep it there. You're recording,
Yep.
you got speech analytics, whatever you're doing. Now you can add this wrap up or this coaching bot or all these bots or the TimeFlex bots or the Genie bot, all these bots that we've launched, you can add them to your existing infrastructure now, and over time, when you move to the cloud, that's still going to work. So I think that's an approach. We took us a long time to figure out how to handle this approach where you don't force everybody to change now before they get the value. Give them the value, and that actually incentivizes them to get more value and move and evolve.
Huge. If I were a CIO and I felt like my AI implementation was bottlenecked behind cloud migration,
Yeah.
I'd be sweating bullets.
I know that, and there are a lot in that position, that they're either quickly trying to do this huge project, which is going to take long no matter what they do, or they're just not doing anything and saying, we're going to wait. Well, we're not sure about AI yet. We know it's cool, but we're just going to wait. And they're not going to learn that. That waiting is obviously keeping them behind, but they're not going to get that experience to know what they do need to do. So I think our approach here is so far working great. I think people love that when they can hear, what you mean? I don't have to move it and change everything just to get advantage of this innovation. Yeah, no, you don't. And I think that's really what's working well for us.
So I'd love to hear about your guys' open platform approach. What does it mean to be an open platform, and why did you guys decide to choose that route versus totally closed or kind of like the ecosystem? We saw all these ecosystems pop up a few years ago, and I don't really know where they went, but I'm curious like how you guys are seeing your open platform.
Yeah, and this I think was also a very important strategic shift, and decision we've taken. Look, there's some advantage to being closed. If you're very small, you have very limited needs, and those needs are not going to change for a long time. Getting an all-in-one, low cost, I don't need the best and the greatest. I just want something simple. And for some that works. And a lot of the CCaaS vendors built their business on that. I'm a small mom and pop. I have maybe 50 agents, 100 agents. I just need some telephony, some basic capabilities. I want the cheapest price possible. That works for some. For most of our customers, they're enterprise grade customers. Their demands and their businesses change. They go through M&As. Buying a closed platform just doesn't work, especially in the age of AI. This is going to change. Even if it suits your needs right now perfectly, it's likely not going to be great tomorrow. So we realized that we must be open, and we're open in many dimensions. We're open in terms of we don't force you to have our telephony. We don't force you to have our desktop. You can have your own CRM, your own telephony. You can have your own CDP. We bring unique behavioral data, and we can ingest other sources of the data so that even the data is not locked into ours, and we can export our data to other systems. We don't force you to our AI. We have some of our own. Vinci AI has a lot of homegrown capabilities, but you want to bring your own model because of security, because you have a better model because you've trained it on your data. Bring it on. We'll use your model. So we're not locking into your AI. We're not locking into your environment. So being open in all these dimensions is really the way to be future proof in this fast-paced AI time we're in. And for most of our enterprise class customers, and even we're even seeing smaller customers need this open approach. That's what it means to be open. And I think it's unique. It allows you to move fast, allows you to change, allows you to make faster decisions. Because if you're not open, you have to weigh really hard: is this really the best I can get? But if you're open and you're getting value immediately, you can launch one bot and see value. You can just do the wrap-up bot and see value, and then expand over time. It's an easier decision. You can move fast. You can see the outcomes first before you make more bigger investments. The decision is easy. We're all about speed. So once you make that decision, in 30 days, you're starting to see the outcomes. So that's what it means to be an open platform.
The diversification, if you will, approach is so powerful. I was thinking about the example of Boeing and SpaceX, and how recently we just rescued these astronauts from the space station.
Oh,
And I mean, NASA was granting, I believe it was two, they were going to grant one contract to one private company to kind of be their private company. And I think it was 2009 or something. And they ended up deciding to award two contracts and split it between Boeing and SpaceX.
yeah,
Imagine if they just chose Boeing.
yeah,
Imagine if they just chose one single vendor to do all of this.
right,
Those astronauts would be stuck. And I think that AI is very similar in,
right,
do you
exactly.
want to put, like, this is the biggest technological transformation probably in our lifetimes, certainly since the internet.
Yeah.
Do we want to put all of our chips in a single basket and say, that's my AI company, I just give all my AI to them? Like, you want to spread out your chips a little bit to make sure that you are able to, move and pivot as the market changes and as technology changes.
I agree. And I would say there's the dilemma is, on the one hand, I don't want to put all my chips in one basket, right? On the other hand, I don't want 50 different point solutions that don't talk to each other. It's a nightmare to manage, and you're not going to get where the vision is. So our approach is, you have a platform, a CX automation platform that focuses just on your CX. We don't do anything else. CX is much broader than just analytics, or just workforce management, or just quality, or just self-service. It's all of these things. It's the overall experience of the customer and the employee. So you want one platform, but you can't bet all your chips on anybody, right? Because things change. So that's really, again, the approach of an open platform. You have one platform, but that platform can ingest different data sources, different LLMs, even different solutions, different telephonies. So it's really having the cake and eating too. I don't want to bet on one thing, but I do want to have one platform. But that platform is open enough that it could evolve and change. If I acquire a company tomorrow, I can integrate that into the open platform. I don't have to switch to if they have a different platform, I don't have to switch. I can integrate the two pieces, and all those technology can talk together. But it is a dilemma on that. And I'm glad they didn't lock themselves into a closed platform, and the astronauts are home.
I heard you mention something earlier that I thought was super interesting. You talked about applying AI to workflows and micro workflows. How do you kind of define workflows, micro workflows, and what are some examples of what that looks like?
So let's take a look at a call, a customer call, right? Or the full interaction. Typically, you're going to call. You might even do some things online, go on the website. But let's assume you've called the customer. You feel like you need to talk to somebody. You've gotten to an IVA or IVR. You've gone through the steps of figuring out why you're calling, and then they decide to route you to an agent. Let's go through the whole process. You route to an agent. Now the agent's helping you, and then the agent's wrapping up, and all that is a workflow, customer interaction. But within that, there's multiple micro workflows, right? There's the self-service part where we're trying to identify your intent and route you to the right place. Then when you reach the agent has to go through the same process. Hey, okay, you reached me. I might be the customer retention agent, but I don't really know what you told the IVR. So now we're going to transfer the insights so I don't have to re-ask you all those questions. I'll get all the insights from the IVA, why you called, what was the intent. So we've automated that micro workflow of the transfer. That's one of our bots. Then the agent starts to help you, and realizing that we're trying to retain you as a customer because you want to potentially cancel. There's a lot of different offers. I don't know all of those in my head, and I may not remember, but we can guide with real-time coaching. I can guide you. I guide the agent to give me the best offer based on all historical data and everything that we figured out. Oh, this, if I give you a 3-month free coupon and send you this free router, then you're going to stay with us. And We know that because we have all the statistical data. Now we're automating that guidance, that retention guidance, and then the wrap up after the call, you have to take notes. We've automated that. So each one of these separate bots is doing one thing very well. It's automating one micro workflow. But at the end, we could take a 7 minute call and cut it down to 3.5 minutes and actually generate a better outcome, retaining the customer, improving the CX, and even improving the employee's experience. And even throughout, we're measuring that CX and EX in real time, so we know whether we actually improved or not. All of those are different bots. They work together. You can think of this as sort of agentic AI, different bots doing different things, overall optimizing the entire interaction. But the key is each bot is really doing just one thing very, very well and automating a micro workflow, part of that whole end-to-end process. Yeah,
I think that's so spot on, Daniel. I am a believer that artificial general intelligence will be here soon, and I'm totally an evangelist on AGI.
right,
But I think that the term of the day is very much narrow intelligence. It is finding really focused places to have AI have a very rich data set, lots of reinforcement, and
right,
be able to crush these micro workflows. If you think about that transfer use case, if you were to take an agent's job and you bullet point out, all the responsibilities, the doing an effective transfer, after talking to an agent and then properly informing the second agent is one of,
right.
50 or 100 bullet points. But
Exactly.
that's now one bullet point that AI is able to do really well in perpetuity. So you'll go on to the next bullet point and the next bullet point, and we'll end up getting to a spot where the only bullet points remaining for people are things that people are inherently very good at, that we care that people are doing. Everything else
Right.
bots will be doing.
That exactly. I think you said it perfectly. I think there is a human element that will stay here for a long time. We humans like to interact with humans. It's really that's what I tell my kids is all right. You should focus on building your social skills because those are the ones AI would be the last to take. um, but being really good at typing or being really good at, those things can be automated, so there's less focus. It's really on the soft skills that I think agents will be here for a long time, maybe sometime in the future that, a lot of these will be replaced, but for now, it's really about augmenting humans, letting humans do what they really enjoy and do well, and let the tedious tasks that need accuracy, that needs efficiency, AI just is better at that. And that's why, and it's easier, and it's here now. So AGI might come. We don't know when and what it will do, but for now, let's focus on the outcomes we can do now rather than just hope or fear the future. Right now, let's leverage what we got, and that's exactly our approach.
Yeah. One of the pieces of advice I give people all the time is to build their relationship building skills. Um,
Right.
and it's one of the things that I think it almost feels weird to do that or say that because you're like, well, I'm a human. I'm naturally able to build relationships. And the answer is like, it's a skill. It takes
It
a
is.
skill to figure out, who is out there in the universe that you should meet, and then to actually, let that person feel that it's worth their time and attention to meet with you. And then once you meet with them, to kind of keep that going and building, like it's a skill. And you can imagine a world in this, hypothetical example where an AI is running an entire company and you have a CEO and the AI does everything else. Maybe even the AI is a CEO. But then how are the two companies going to talk to each other? Of course,
Right.
you could have like different bots talk to each other, but most likely what's going to happen is you're going to have people kind of liaisons between these companies, crafting deals, working partnerships, doing, M&A, sharing perspectives, highlighting different opportunities. So at the end of the day, it's still going to be, people meeting for dinner and talking, sharing their company's perspectives and creating that relationship. And I think that's like something that, and we're not going to be having, robots sitting next to us at dinner pretending to have a glass of wine. I don't think we're going to be there anytime soon.
Not my use case, but I like the wine part, but yeah.
So I'd love to hear about how you guys are orchestrating these agents. I think you have this kind of configuration, tool, if you will, called Da Vinci. How does that work?
Well, the Vinci is the heart. We have two at the heart of our CX automation platform. There's really, first of all, the data hub. And again, this is not all your data. This is behavioral data. Most of it is unstructured or semi-structured, like the interactions from phone conversations or emails or chats, the surveys we're doing, the performance data of how agents are performing and what they're doing well or not. This is unique data that typically doesn't reside in CRM or CDP or whatever. It's unique data that we collect and unify. On top of that, we have a whole set of AI capabilities. We have our own models. We use third-party models, and that's Da Vinci. Da Vinci is the hub for our AI. It's called Da Vinci AI, and it sits on the hub of the data. So we use Da Vinci to build these bots and to train them and make them better, and they keep learning. And also, because it's at the hub of the platform, it's easy for us to ingest and build the AI capability into the workflow. So we're not starting from zero. We're taking the platform and all the market leading applications that we have, and we're embedding new bots into them. An example would be the recent Genie bot that we just launched. So I don't know if you know, I started my career with driving speech analytics, and today it's a multi-billion-dollar market. We have it deployed in 80 languages. So we have a vested, we have the largest customer base of customers that already have accurate transcripts and accurate categories that define subset of data. But now we want to ingest, the latest Gen AI into this, right? We don't want to start from something new. We're taking the data that we have, so customers, let's say they've built the category around customer churn. So already they have a set of churn related calls every day, but they want to understand what's driving that churn, right? They could do a regular call study, listen to calls and slice and dice the data. And many customers do that and they get amazing results, except that it takes time and it takes analysts. What we're doing is taking the micro workflow of doing the analysis and taking that very accurate subset of churn calls and leveraging Gen AI, saying, tell me what's driving churn. Tell me what script that agents should be saying to reduce churn. And Gen AI is really good at it. If you give it the right data and not ask it to hallucinate based on what's on the internet, it comes back with super amazing results. We've launched this just a few months ago, and we're already seeing millions of dollars of in minutes. They're identifying insights that would take them weeks to do. And but we're leveraging what the customer already has. Everything's already there. All the data is already there. The subsets of data. We don't even need RAG because we already have the reverse RAG. We were finding the right data and then asking the question on that, rather than the other way around of asking a question and then looking for where's the data that can answer that question. So it's very efficient, very cost effective, very fast, and the impact is great. And that's how we take Gen AI, embedded into a workflow. Again, it's leveraging all the data we already have and the AI capability. And we already switched the LLMs several times just in a few months, because we realized now we want to expand it. We want to do it at agentic. We want to break the question up to multiple tasks.
We're doing the exact same stuff. Yep.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
100%.
That's the direction. Yeah.
And trying this model, trying that model. I literally got a text last night from one of our speech and language engineers at like 7 or 8 p.m. And he was like, I just figured out a way to get better results for kind of this insights module we're making, and be able to get more coverage of more conversations at lower cost. It's like those little nuggets are everywhere.
That's really the direction. That's the open approach, and leverage what customers already have. AI doesn't start from scratch. This notion, oh, throw everything away and start with an AI. That doesn't work really. People say, can I just dump all my transcripts into ChatGPT? You can, but you're going to get a lot of hallucinations, a lot of garbage. You're not going to be able to validate, and it's really not going to work. And it's probably going to be really expensive too.
So how should they start? How should they think about like a very sober-minded approach to just going down the AI path?
Map out what you have, and what's working. Map out where you want to go, where you have opportunities. What's your biggest thing? Is it better sales, cost reduction, better customer retention, better CX, whatever is the biggest thing? And look for something you can do very quickly, leveraging what you have without throwing away anything, and something that is part of a Lego set, I call it. If it's a standalone point solution, you'll end up with a dead end. It might be great. You'll love the new car, and then tomorrow, not going to be able to drive it anywhere because the system has changed. So you want to pick something that is part of a platform, but you can start small. It's not a big decision you have to make. If I can automate your after call work, or if I can add Genie to your speech analytics, or if I can improve the way you schedule agents, or if I can coach, real time, you can do that now, get the value, and then see, okay, connect the dots after that. I think that's the strategy that we're trying to communicate, and that we're seeing really great response from executives. It's a much easier decision than what's my AI strategy for the next 5 years. I don't even know what our AI strategy for the next 5 years. It's going to change, but I know what I want to do this month or this quarter. What's my biggest opportunity, and I focus on that, and I know that it's part of a strategy that can allow me to grow.
I'm interested in the experience of putting this all together, because I think a lot of folks who came from the speech analytics world, a few years ago, remember the days of like custom building your intents and setting up your business logic and then tweaking it. And then your analyst, is then checking it for false positives and saying, oh, this has a this percent, error rate or, recall or precision rate. What is the experience like today when you're setting up, these bots? Do you guys take an approach where, is it low code, no code? Does it take some real IT resources, but you're able to, get good results for it? Or, is it behind the curtain and you guys just say, oh, Verint, we'll handle it. We'll set up your bots and let you know it's ready. How do you guys kind of approach setting this stuff up?
You know what? I was surprised how simple it was. I was a little worried because, again, we have a lot of customers on-prem. We have different things. We just did, specifically with the Genie bot, we actually, it's like turning on a light switch in the back room. We just say, hey, you want it? Turn it on, and it's on literally in minutes. And then we just did these work. We just went. I was 2 weeks ago at a customer site, an industry I don't know. They're a global leader in customer home services, but an area that I wasn't familiar with. I came there with a few of my guys. We turned it on, and within minutes, and they used the same speech analytics they've been using, except now you had Genie pop up there. You just like click a button and just start asking questions, and leveraging, again, all the categories they already have, all the issues, except that the insights were just flowing as if I had a team of 50 analysts working tirelessly, answering my questions in real time as I'm asking them. And then we presented it to their executive, and they threw us more questions at us, and we just answered. So it's much easier than you think. Even though the environment, is, you could think of it as a legacy environment just sitting there. Suddenly you've added AI embedded into the workflow. It's in the application. It took like 3 minutes to train them. It's like training somebody on ChatGPT. Like, ask your question, here's the answer. There's no prompt engineering they have to learn. There's nothing. We take care of everything's in the background, and they were just blown away. And I think it's true for a lot of the things. We have an example of the Time Flex bot, which is a new way of doing workforce management. Again, we have thousands of customers doing workforce management the very important and old-fashioned way, where you have to schedule and predict, and because you have to have that. That doesn't go away. But
Seems
now
like
you want
something
to put,
AI should be great at. Like
right.
theoretically, that should be one of the first places that AI makes an impact is, like not having people move around boxes and figure out where the schedules are and automatically find the optimal scheduling.
But there's a lot of infrastructure and hierarchies and rules and stuff that it
Yeah.
doesn't wait. So that's still there. You don't throw that away, and AI doesn't have to replace all that. We already have that in place. But what you want is the Uberization of that, right? You want people to manage their own. I don't want to ask my boss if I need to go for 15 minutes to do some errands. I don't have to ask anybody. I just have to move, just like an Outlook. I can move my meeting. I don't ask people, right? I want the same flexibility being a contact center agent working remote. I need to run, do something urgent right now, and I don't have even time to ask. That's what AI sits on top of the workforce management. By the way, it could sit on top of any workforce management, not just ours, and allow that Uberization of, I'm going to take this call. No, I'm not going to take this call because I got to do something. In 15-minute intervals, AI controls that to make sure, SLAs don't go to out the window, because you actually monetize that with some coins, whatever. But there's a way for the agent to have full control, just like an Uber driver has full control of which rides he takes. That's transformative. Again, you turn it on, suddenly you have this capability. Agents suddenly see, wow, this is a cool job. When I ride with an Uber, I always ask them, why are you an Uber? And none of them say because I love driving. All of them say it's because of the flexibility. I love being my own boss. And that's what, if you want to retain your contact center agents, it's really, this is the number one thing, probably more important than compensation, is my flexibility. And especially with the new generation of this work-life balance, they've grown up to feel like nobody can tell them what to do and when to do it. They control their own destiny. Then they provide better service.
It's so important because when we're injecting these, AI bots into the contact center workforce, that is creating a type of pressure, right? You have this new technology and it's coming in and it's finding opportunities to do new things that have never previously been done, which kind of challenges the existing rule set a little bit, or to find existing things that are being done and taking that responsibility. And then that challenges people to have to go find something else that they need to do that's productive. So it's creating, the injection of AI into these businesses is creating pressure. So when you respect the flip side and find opportunities to really take care of the human workforce and give them tools that make their jobs better and make their careers better. Um, you know, I think that that is going to be a really necessary kind of release valve that's needed for organizations to effectively adopt AI through this pretty wild transition.
I agree. I agree. I think this is very transformative. I think generally AI is even more transformative than we think. People say, well, there's been a buzz and we haven't seen it. Yes, but it's coming. That was true for mobile internet and for internet and for other things. There is a lot of things we need to iron out and figure out, and there is some risks and concerns, but it will, first of all, we can't stop it. And second of all, if you can't stop it, you might as well join it, right? You might as well ride the wave. And this is how you learn. You apply these little things, these you automate these micro workflows, and you learn from it. And you once you see the benefit, you become more comfortable with it, and also figure out how and what to regulate and what you don't need to regulate. Again, I'm super excited about it. I do have some concerns too, but I think what I've seen is the outcomes that we've, when you can see millions of dollars of outcomes in minutes, it's super compelling. You can't argue against it. You need to control it and you need to manage it effectively, but I think it really is transformative.
Where do you see AI going overall over the next few years?
I can't predict. It's hard to say. I think, like I said, it's going to be here faster than we think. It's already here, but it's going to continue to evolve quickly. I think in my space, in our Verint space, CX automation, it's huge. It's in almost every single application, AI is critical, and generative AI and agentic AI, which we're already doing in many aspects, is you realize, well, if I can automate this one thing and I can automate this one thing, I can put them together and now I can automate more than two micro workflows into a whole workflow. And you start seeing how powerful this can be. I think, again, it's like Legos. You're going to build it in steps. I think AI will first augment a lot, make us more powerful, make, agents, super agents, and humans superhuman. Eventually, a lot of things will replace a lot of, jobs that people just don't want to do. And I think it will create new jobs, but I do think we'll have to adapt to this. People who invest in this and will adapt quicker will gain tremendous benefits, and people who are, slower, or companies who are slower to adapt, I think will stay behind. I think it'll do more good than bad, but I do think there are risks too. I think that's another reason to go with, when people are concerned about, we seeing all these audits about AI. Where do you have AI? What kind of LLMs do you use? And, is it secure? We're a public company. We are responsible in the sense that, we have to be more secure than a company that, in itself, because we're serving all these companies and the impact is greater. So I think we're taking on some of that responsibility of making sure AI doesn't do bad things or doesn't open up, compliance risk or fraud risk or data privacy. So I think those are real concerns. We'll evolve and figure them out. But I think having a partner that's constantly thinking and doing things in this area, and that's part of what Da Vinci is really making sure that it's secure, making sure that it's accurate, making sure that it's the latest and greatest. It's part of that journey. And I think we'll need to partner, organizations need to partner with the right people, but they can't stay behind. They can't do it slowly. They got to move fast, but they have to be, make the right choices and make sure that they're knowing that whatever decision they make, they'll get new information tomorrow, and that the decision should be able to evolve and shift.
Daniel, this conversation's been awesome. Thank you so much for joining. And before we sign off, I know you guys just released Genie Bot. Super exciting. Can you tell everyone what that is and if they want to learn more, where they can go learn more?
Yeah, GenieBot, I haven't been this excited in a long time. We launched it late last year in December. GenieBot is a new generative AI capability that's embedded in our existing speech analytics solution. So whether you have speech analytics already or you're buying speech analytics, this is an add-on to that. And it really leverages all our experience, 20 years of experience in leadership in speech analytics, but it leverages the latest Gen AI. So our customer that I was just at 2 weeks ago says, this is like having ChatGPT for your customer interactions. So you have all the ability, you have those transcripts, and you can ask any question, and it'll even quantify the results. So it does a lot of the work, something that typically takes weeks for a really excellent analyst, now can be done in minutes. So it's a 10, maybe 100x factor. And the value is not just that we're saving time for the analyst, because these insights are enterprise level insights. Figuring out what's driving churn or what's driving customer experience or what's impacting sales. Those are tens of millions of dollars, sometimes billions of dollars of impact. And if it takes too long to get to the answer, then you're making the decision without that data. So, having that insight before you make the decision is worth sometimes much more than the 2 weeks of work we've saved. So it's transformative, and we're doing this big campaign to really add this to our entire speech base. And also, companies that typically couldn't afford speech because they didn't have a team of analysts, now they can, because now you don't need a team. You don't need to train somebody for 3 weeks or for 3 months. You can get an agent off the floor and says, hey, start asking questions. That's really the next job, is going to be, what questions do I want to ask? That's going to be the new job in the contact center and in general, is, knowing, not even prompt engineering, but just, what do I really want to know? That's something that
If costs keep coming down, folks could also just brute force it. You can just have someone sitting there trying all the questions, like if you give a monkey enough time, it'll write a Shakespeare novel.
Right.
We could just sit there and just keep typing and see what interesting stuff comes up. And then, well, if you're doing that, why not have the AI ask the questions? But that's probably a few years down the road. Yeah,
Genie does suggest questions for you too. If you're not sure what to ask, it's starting on that path already. But you're right.
closer than we think.
Yeah, yeah.
Daniel, this has been awesome. If folks want to learn more, where can they go?
First of all, they can go to Verint.com. On our website, we have information about Genie. We have AI outcomes of customers sharing what they found. Obviously all the other bots, they're out there. Always happy to reach out to me directly. My email is daniel.ziv@verint.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. And we have, if you're in the CX space, you probably have a relationship with Verint. You can talk to your account executive or your CSM. But always happy to hear from anybody, and what your challenges are, what you're doing. We'd love to have and continue the conversation. But thank you, Mark. I really enjoyed this conversation, and thanks for having me.
Super fun interview. Thanks for joining.